Adam from Hazbin Hotel is an MC done right, okay? This guy's a walking contradiction and has sworn never to make a mistake in his life with his skin deep morals and his twisted way of viewing the world and everything around him. He is quite literally the reason this show gets carried so hard. This is quite an exaggeration, by the way, but as an antagonist, he takes everything in a funny remark, lifts it up a tone, and makes us all laugh. He's like a child who's discovered cursing, or a hardcore version of a teenager. I think a unique combination of the two. And this is a character that is made for you to hate. You love to hate him, and it's very fun to do so. He is the audience's favorite jackass and is a super hypocritical person, and this is written by nature and in design. He is simply one of those characters you'll miss to see once he is gone, and he's completely funny, sassy, and you will quote everything he says. It was fun to see him while we had him around, and it was surprising to see that he had quite literally such a short runtime, with roughly 10 to 15 minutes of screen time as a whole throughout the whole season 1 of Hazbin Hotel. And I love the fact that the audience and the fan base will remember him well even past this time, with his catchy songs and his catchphrases. One thing I want to clear up immediately, I think we all know this, but Adam is not a good guy, morally speaking, and I'll get more into this later, but he died with a smile on his face, instead of freaking out or being mad like any other protagonist or antagonist that's just poorly written that I won't go into detail because this is not what my channel is about. I like to celebrate the highs and what makes characters great, because by understanding what makes things good, we can hyper-focus on that and continue making good stories from that point on. I also talked about something negative on my channel and it tanked, so I'm not going to do that again. Despite Adam losing both of his wives to Lucifer, he seemingly has or is showing his best life. And I wouldn't be surprised if the show brought him back a second time, but that's something I'm not going to take over. That's something the authors will leave to do, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'll be limiting the scope of this character to the first season since that's all I got. If you haven't seen Hazbin Hotel, or at least the first season, you should go and watch that because that's what the episode is based all about. And I'll just be talking about two primarily main things: his twisted intention or his twisted morals, and his comedic ability just to carry the show whenever he's on screen, being the direct antithesis and antagonist to Charlie in every single way possible.
Fuck, too much fucking red. Fuck, shut up!
For those of you that haven't seen Hazbin Hotel, I'm basically going to tell you the premise and you can guess the rest. If you haven't seen the show, go see it already. It's on Amazon Prime. But basically, Hazbin Hotel's premise basically exists as redeeming sinners so that they can get into the pearly gates. Literally, episode 1 is just going hard on this, throwing the pitch in 3 different times. While I do have my quarrels and beefs with the show, the one thing I will say is that they do something correctly, as in, but they make a character so specific and so direct that he's unwilling to change his old ways and mainly reinforces the old beliefs where everything is black and white. They had their chance and they ruined it. Okay? This is a complete contradiction as to what the show is trying to portray and what it's trying to do because of his black and white thinking. And Adam does reinforce this black and white thinking. I mean, his songs, his mannerisms, his actions. This guy is proactively enforcing his beliefs onto others. He legit took an extra step further to up the genocide rate by 2 times, from going to a yearly basis to literally doubling it because of Charlie's meeting intervention. I'm kidding. They honestly believe it's because of Charlie's meeting, but yeah, it's because they found a way to kill the angels, and so yeah, they sped it up by 6 months. I don't know if the whole angel community knows about this, but that's a show of its own thing. But essentially, that is the reason for it.
It's not a soul worthy of being in heaven.
I swear Adam is made for the sole purpose of pissing off Charlie, because Charlie, the happy-go-lucky character who can't get upset or who can't get angry, is specifically shown to get very angry and very upset in front of Adam. And I think Adam is intentionally created to push all of her buttons. And this is really funny to do so, because like, Charlie genuinely hates when this guy is up on stage or whenever he like takes the show or like the spotlight or anything like that. You can tell by the court case where she does not want this guy to be here. And Adam, yeah, just he simply, like, whenever he's on screen, he specifically exists to either directly or indirectly get in Charlie's way and just crash the whole Hazbin Hotel thing. And the best part is, this guy never backpedal. he doubles down or he's all in from the get-go.
Don't fucking shush me, bitch.
He's simple, he's on the nose, and he's meant to make you laugh with every step of the way. With every line he mentions, it's either serious or a gag. So it's like he says a line and then it's a joke. He says a line and then it's a gag. He says a line or it's serious. Or sometimes even it's the line that takes the joke, and then it's a joke on top of another joke. And so yeah, he's constantly throwing jokes. It's funny because like the writers genuinely care about his character and how he's portrayed and the fact that he's actually funny. He's so misogynistic, it's on the nose, it's downright blunt, but it's funny because they know how to tell a proper joke.
So, anyway, and we fucked, and it was awesome. What'd you do this weekend?
This guy is so proactive in the series. It was his idea to slaughter the demons from an uprising just for pure entertainment. This guy is completely nuts. And to take it one step further, he makes sure to do it on a yearly routine, just to send a message, just to show who's in charge. He thinks it's all pretty cool, but he likes to live the way his life is. And the fact is, he gets to get away with a lot of the shit because he's like the first man in heaven, so he gets like some sort of respect or whatever. However, being the first man in heaven and all that stuff, he literally writes that with him. He is completely narcissistic in this regard, and I don't know, sometimes it feels like he's bragging about this intention, like, hey, unlike you and I'm in heaven, you're in hell. Clearly, I'm the better of you two. I don't know, I always get this feeling with this guy.
Oh, look who thinks they're badass now!
I'm actually glad they made Adam a powerhouse in the actual show, and that he's not just treated as some, like, speaking head or talking head or wannabe. He holds his own, so much so against frickin' Alistair. He makes Alistair run away like a little bitch. And then, yeah, he drives Charlie to the end of her ropes. This man fights Charlie, Lucifer, and Alistair, and comes out with a good win-to-lose ratio. I mean, this guy was running genocide for years. I think, yeah, I mean, you could say he picked up a few skills or two. And being an angel and all that, his fighting style was a bit reckless. But that's enough about the characterization. I mean, it's more intentional on the nose, and like there's a lot of consistency going there. But being like the head macho of the show, he takes a lot of the charge. He deals with a lot of the pressure and antagonists. And he is a proper follow-through as a proper antagonist. He is so vile, he's so despicable, he's so misogynistic, it goes completely against the show's messaging. And as an antagonist, he served his role well. And I love the fact that the show took the extra step of getting rid of him when it was appropriate, and when the characters were finally united after the front and the battle was won and over. I do appreciate the show giving us the illusion that he really was on screen a lot more than he actually was, because I tried to count the time, but I eventually gave up. It came down to 15 minutes and 36 seconds, including songs and like little cutscenes here and there that probably spanned less than a second. It was hard to count, man. But he was always an intimidating presence whenever the genocide or the countdown was ever brought into question. And to prevent it or to go against that specific thing, you would need to go through Adam. And there's just no way around it, and I just love how active he is in this regard. Now, one thing I will say is that the show had the absolute balls to kill him off, albeit as a gag. And they at least made his death somewhat meaningful, because it signified, quote-unquote, the end, or the first cancellation, or the proper resistance against the genocides. I'm calling it the genocide because it's an actual genocide, and it's completely unjustified. I don't know if that's the actual definition of a genocide, but we're just going to go with that. Mass murder of millions.
Hot as fuck, though.
Basically, to wrap things up, Adam is a perfect MC done right. He's a perfect antagonist to Charlie, and once everybody is unified, sung Kumbaya and unified all together, even Alistair, Adam can finally be written off as a good time villain and not just held out for the sake of being held out. Properly killed off as a gag as he was brought into the stuff. Opens up with a joke, ends his life as a joke. I'm kidding. I love this character so much, and I don't want to end it off with a disrespect. I actually love that the character was given the respect he was deserved, and the audience loves him as much as I do. And that's the whole reason for me making this video. And honestly, from being a jackass to a super hypocritical douchebag, to being a sassy, funny guy that you will quote everything that he says. I miss him already since he's gone, and honestly, Him being a moral antithesis and a complete contradiction to what the show stands for, and allowing for these thread lines and this nuance to exist, is what makes this character so wonderful to begin with. Having these sorts of things makes you a better story writer, and just in case you want to enjoy more shows, keep an eye out for things like this. See if the villain actively goes against the protagonist, and if they do, you know you're watching a good movie.